Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to Plotting and Scheming, covering Season 53, 5 vs. 5 Grand Arena Championship, Week 1. Crap, I forgot the order part where I say that, this is the Grand Arena focused podcast, centered around the top 100 in Kyber 1. But I am joined here by most of the regular cast, Dagger, TJ, and Fatal. Sasha Aisha, I think, is on vacation this week. I do recall him saying something, and obviously it's not a problem if he's got somewhere he's got to be, but it kind of just whoosh, water off the duck's back. Anyway, gentlemen, it's first of all, how is everybody? As far as my week went, it was 3-0, a complete shutout. I had an Erodium round 1, get on my level. And then rounds 2 and 3, I actually had real matches with Pumper and Zid. And I actually avenged myself against both, having lost to both recently. So, Dagger, how about you?
I'm here so I don't get fined.
Adequate. I appreciate that. TJ, how about you?
It was good, man. 2-1. And honestly, we fought our guildmate, Worminator. He earned the win, man. He caught the one thing that can catch you off guard with the raid teams. But then aided in ships. So I ended up losing by 1 because of ships. Or not because of ships. He almost lost because of ships, and it only was a 1-banner lead. But, he destroyed it on ground. So you know how that whole story goes.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, it's been a while since I had one of those, thank God. All right. Fatal, how about you? How'd the week go? I got to see some of your rounds.
3-0. It was not the cheese fest that I expected, although I'm still kind of on guard that I think a player intending to do so could just one-shot everything. But yeah, I would say that I think there's actually a lot of potential this season, and I would say that one might spend a lot of time preparing for it if Tiny Tools doesn't get fucked up by CG sometimes. So it's not going to be happening for me this week, that's for sure.
Completely fair. Yeah, that's you were saying about that in the pre-show, and that's complete shit. And I'm sorry for that, because I know
it's not Tiny Tools' fault, but goddamn, hours in the trash bin. And to be honest, I was actually like, man, this season's actually pretty cool. There's a lot of exciting stuff to look at and talk about here, and this might actually be a decent defense. And stay tuned for next week, I guess.
This is the second time in as many weeks that this has happened to you, isn't it? I remember this happening before.
It happened sometime last year. I saw as this was happening that that apparently in the announcements they've been saying it's been happening a bunch, but it hadn't really been an issue for me anytime recently. But yesterday at 4, same issue. A couple weeks ago, same issue. So I don't know. Maybe it would be ideal to I had loadouts ready hours ago, but I just kept on adding more and going deeper. It was a fucking 50, 60 character remod, so I don't know. It is what it is.
It sounds like all of your GAC best practices center around starting at 4 p.m. Eastern or later when lock-in is 5 p.m. You might want to just keep the start at 4 for actually playing.
Well, it only takes 20 to 25 minutes to load, so I was trying to get as many extra teams and characters and overhauls in as possible.
So, but you weren't able to lock in with any portion of that from earlier in the day, so you're actually set from week 1 then?
Nope, I'm on TW mod, so it'll be dog shit.
The forbidden. I'm sorry. All right, well, that's going to be an interesting week. We'll see what you can do in spite of this, yes?
Oh, yeah.
All right, very good. All right, guys, into the regular agenda. So, first up, meta-analysis. All right, Tales of Woe and Valor with the Great Mothers. So we're here. Last time we were in 5 vs. 5, it was the last hurrah for the Set 17 Night Sisters Cron. Had the Great Mothers being, nigh on to overpowered. How about this week, guys? My experience, I want to say I used it round 1 to take out a queen. I think I lost my spirit over the course of the fight, because what I did was I doomed Padawan Obi-Wan, I blessed Morgan, and then basically deleted Padawan Obi-Wan. But it took a while to, we were able to doom Queen, but it took a while to access her. It took longer still to actually kill her, and we just barely made it out in time. So, I don't know. I didn't like that so much. I used JMK for the rest of the week to clean up Queen Amidala's. And I set my Great Mothers on defense with a set 8, with my Balenkron, actually, in one of the rounds. And that held. That held up to Slacker, which also meets expectations with my experience. I fought a set 18 from Pumper, and it was I almost timed out. It took forever to kill his Morgan. Just took forever. What about you guys?
I fought the 25% turn meter, so when we replaced that, that felt funky, but SLK was fine. I know people are doing the Qui-Gon shenanigans, I guess, for that. And that, okay. I want to call that a 50-50, right? Because if stuff goes haywire, I think it went haywire for you, Tass.
I know it. Yeah.
I gave it out as the blessing, and then I watched the next time, and he got screwed over. And round 2, Dom tried that shenanigans on me. I never changed the cron. It was just the set 18 bulk, and I took our crit damage setup with the speedy bros. He got hosed on that setup. So it's like maybe round 2 was the whole. You could see where it works, and then it's going to beat you out because he lost in 56 seconds against my mothers. Other than that, it was SLK. Seems like it's okay.
Yeah, I did do Qui-Gon once, and I heard that it works better with GK, because I don't know if the AI is always going to target JK if it can, but it did in the one time I did it. And, he shook free at a couple points where I thought that if they killed my Qui-Gon, I'd be able to pop off and explode them. And in the end, they ended up hitting pretty much everybody but Qui-Gon for, 2+ minutes. I know you were watching that, TJ, when you saw that going down.
Yeah.
And basically, Anakin was locked down once again when they finally did turn and blow up Qui-Gon. He got his bonus turn, but that just freed him up out of stun, and then he just got mowed over.
Yeah.
So I think I know you pointed out Grandmaster Yoda could work for this purpose, but GK could work. Some other higher AI priority could maybe be gamed, as long as they're Galactic Republic Jedi.
That was a thought, and I thought it was a good call with the GK. It's just, when the time comes, you don't want to be caught off guard because you decided to have a tank. That was my only concern, because then if he keeps taunting and you don't get the kill, I think you still just get beat down because nothing's going on. You don't got that big bang.
Yeah.
And I know Ano called it out too. And I asked you the same thing about you doing it with Beck on the team and the Savior. And does that hurt the team as well because of that Savior popping up at the wrong time? And the one thing is you want that perfect shot when Qui-Gon goes and then your JK is not locked down and or have used the benefit.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of Kel being there because that was your chance at an AoE defensive cleanse, that you could control.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, I don't think I'm going to try it, though. I mean, I expect that when people look at the week 1 data, they'll see what you already pointed out, that set 18 seems much more dangerous with that team, especially if the stats are, crit damage, something of the kind. I also fought 1 turn meter, set 19, and that was definitely an easier fight for Slacker than set 18. So, anything else from you guys on Great Mothers? All right. GL Ahsoka. So, any interesting lessons, out of this week? Anything that defied expectation? Did you always use C. Bane here? For my part, I pretty much did. I briefly considered in one comp that had Exile Ezra, but not Fulcrum to do Bane. But basically, I just did C Bane the whole time. So I'm wondering if you guys know where you can get away with just C or just Bane. Yeah.
I don't know the specifics. I did Leia round 3 because I was just trying to be like, obviously scouting and everything else based on what he was going to do. I needed the right pieces in the right places. So I ended up going Leia, and it still worked just fine. Obviously, we know that's one of the primary counters. I'm not sure about the can you and when if to do the C and the Bane. And I guess it just comes down to if you do that and lose, that feels real bad. And I don't know if I'm willing to take that risk. I don't know if anybody else is either. Obviously, when you don't have the pieces of like, I guess a Nest, a Malik, a Baze, right? Any of those disruptors, the cheese is still on the table. I'd be willing to do the cheese before. Let me use one of my primary counters only for it to fail, and then now I'm stuck cleaning up an Ahsoka. She's gross.
Yeah. So my experience this week was basically everyone front loaded their front 2 walls in Kyber 2, and then had cheese in their back wall, and I had 3 GLs to take out whatever shit they had in their back wall, and they set the front walls were both basically the front 18 were basically the house, like all the best teams. And I used C Bane because I didn't need C or Bane anywhere else. Like, we just have too much offense to where, like, you if you see Ahsoka and you just see Bane it, you have plenty to take care of everything else. Like, maybe there's some kind of puzzle that forces you to use something else, but yeah, I stared down the barrel of like 6 GLs on defense pretty much every round, and I'm just like, these all suck. Like, you can off-counter everything. I don't know. I feel like GLs are worse on defense than non-GLs at this point. And to be clear, I didn't save the house. I saved like 4 GLs.
Yeah, I actually agree with that because I think it's just a challenge to what we've traditionally thought of as a heavy defense being mostly GLs. Like, my third round defense, I had 7 GLs for attack, and it was very challenging for my opponent. And I meant it to be. I didn't feel like I was cheesing it. So I take your point there.
Well, that's kind of what I mean. It's like, until I have a reason to try anything besides, but like Ahsoka Ezra is all I've seen. So unless like, right, it's like, if you give me a reason to try something else, maybe I will. Otherwise, I don't feel like I'm doing something I cannot afford.
Fair. All right.
That's just my take on it.
No, I appreciate that. All right, let me get back to the list there. Okay, yeah, I don't think there was anything too interesting that I saw with Ahsoka. That was a really stock fight this week. But maybe it'll be more interesting to discuss Exile Ezra, Fulcrum and her Kron, and then the Balin Kron. And I guess to a lesser extent Balin. I mean, if you guys did anything novel, saw anything novel. But I suppose the most novel thing I saw with Balin is setting him on defense with like a Hondo Kron. I think you're doing that, Fatal. And then you split off your Balin Kron as you see fit. With Great Mothers, you could do it with your Rey team. I think that's a split that we'll probably be seeing here in the high end for the remainder of this season.
Yes. I'm going to agree because that's what caught me. Yeah, that back wall was the perfect setup, and it was like, you've asked me before, Tass, what was one of the things you think could do it? It's the high offense Balin Kron, and I think it's been the year round, right? Threes was the same thing on the Rey team, and you're like, would you ever put Ezra?
But not Balin.
Yeah, remind us who that was on. What team was that placed that you
he did it. He did it on Rey. He did a good Rey.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I was saying the Balin Kron, not with Balin.
No, it's not.
Right,
that's what I'm saying.
Right,
I agree. Those stats, it's like, who cares what the level 3 and this level 6 is? If you've got that high offense, Dagger, you talked about it before. It's like you give your Ben 200% offense. He's powering through you. You're dead, right?
I actually like that observation. I think the offense, if you had a set 18 Balin Kron that skewed more towards very high offense, that would be probably better set with Rey than something like Great Mothers, where I feel like if your opponent's like me
against Great Mothers.
What's that?
It depends on what they're using against Great Mothers.
Yeah,
for example,
that's exactly where I was going. Yes.
I watched a JMK get his booty hole torn out by a 220% offense.
Okay.
I think that's the good thing, right? Because
Okay.
Like, DK was dead.
Okay.
And they just have to
Well,
target
because
whoever
I
they
was
want.
just about to say, doing Slacker versus that fight against one that was more offense, less bulky than mine, so I could pull this off better than I think other people. But like against Slacker, that added bulk on that set 18 cron in the stats was just crazy. So I would, maybe lean towards that in my case more because I have something like 56% offense from stats on the cron. It's nowhere near any of you guys with 100 plus.
Yeah, one of the things that people, I'm not saying you should have done this, but like, if you were trying to min-max that cron, you really should have like remodded your team. Like, if you're putting your Balin cron with Ray, for example, and you have like 200% offense, you have to lean into that shit too. Like, I fought against a Ray with a Balin cron, and it was like, the Ray had like 11.5k offense, but like 260k health. It's like, you gotta be like the 190 to 200k health and the 13.5k offense. Right? Your Ben has to like SU some health for offense as well, right? Because if you just build your Ray and Ben for bulk and then put an offense cron on there, it's like, cool, whatever. Not telling you to remod your team necessarily, but just be cognizant of the fact that like you're doubling the stats that you have, so if you're putting like a bunch of offense on the team, make sure it has offense to begin with.
Yeah, completely fair. All right. Well, other items here, as far as unconventional or interesting uses, we were talking also about Exile Ezra, Fulcrum, and Heracron. Anything wild that you guys saw that way?
The only other one was that just to split off of putting the Hondo Cron on the Balin. I was forced where I was at to try to not use the clean. So I was trying to use Inquisitors on that, and I got hit with that. It was the Hondo dash setup. It was not clean, and it was not fun. So that setup definitely feels prohibitive, and I guess I'm hearing it other places as well. That combo on that team really messes with Inquisitors specifically.
Oh, your mic sounds muffled, buddy.
Any better?
Yeah, better now. Sorry.
Okay. So it's like, yeah. No. So the combination using the Hondo Cron in the place of the Balin Cron on the Balin team, with I guess Dash is the fifth, is really, I guess, prohibitive to the Inquisitors. So that's what I ended up having to do. That's what Warminator did to me in the back. And so I ended up trying to do Inquisitors on that and just got blown out.
Can
and it
you
wasn't
explain
even close.
Why is that? What made that so difficult?
Dash messes with the fight, I guess, to slow everybody down because of the days, but it just, I couldn't get through it fast enough. They were just pummeling my team, and to that point, then I had nothing left. Because again, remember, so the power that was happening in the days on your team, you don't get to do all the things you would want to do. Even if you were to take the third, Dash goes, his first move is to give you the AoE days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to stop your team from being able to do all of the shenanigans. I'm sure you could try to time it out, but you're not getting 100% reactive turn meter on what's happening. And so you don't have the ability to recoup all of the things that are being done to you. And by that time, it's over.
Or you just hold your cleanse.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you open with GI third and then Dash
fine.
does his AoE, you're saying that you get just
how do you get
blown
there?
out.
How do you get back to right? How do
you get blown
back
out
to
before
it,
GI's second turn is the
That's my problem. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to get to that. And even when I did, I was either locked down for one reason or another. I couldn't do anything. And so people just started fading. So I was like, well, let me just see if I can kill a person or two. Nah, you weren't getting close.
I'd be curious to see if that was a one-off or not, because in my head, I see that still like working.
From what I understood from people, they were all experiencing the same thing. I'd have to look it up, what it looks like.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would have to see like a video or something.
I did do the middle.
I'm not saying you're. I agree that what you're saying happened. What I'm saying is, I want to see where like the fail point is, because like Tass and I both had the same thought. It's like, I don't know how. Like, I know they ignore a lot of defense, but it's like, can they? Like, I don't know.
It wasn't the defense. It was that I didn't get to play anymore. So who I wanted to go, and when it was time for GI to go, remember he's stuck, right? There's no reactive. I don't get to go again. So by the time he got to come around, there was nothing I could do, and I was already missing 2 players.
Oh, how fast is your GI? Like, how do they outspeed your GI second turn with speed up?
What speed up when you're dazed? There's nothing. You're locked down. You are literally stopped from doing
Speed
anything.
up does not have anything to daze doesn't stop speed
Right,
up.
but you don't get to do anything if you go through the fight of what
Daze
they're
doesn't
doing.
stop speed up is the point I'm trying to make. Like
But
your
you don't-
GI's at like 480 speed.
And I'm telling you that I didn't get to go.
I am not.
there's a-
Anyways, that's why I wanted. That's why I was curious about a
That's
video.
fine.
'cause-
But I'm going to look at the data, but I definitely felt the burden. And anybody I talked to when they saw the Dash Hondo comp on the Hondo Cron was getting the same stuff.
Yeah,
So I was definitely not the one.
Yeah, Hondo goes first, and he captures Riva, and then GI goes, and then Dash goes, and I'm just curious to how Riva dies between then and.
It was Stunkron. What was the configuration of that?
His was stun, but it was
okay.
it was Riva wasn't a problem. So Riva was alive for a long time. She sat around, but the other people were just tree stumps. And who you would want to be moving and doing anything were just kind of sitting there.
Oh, so basically you're saying your GI just got hard targeted with stuns?
It was the whole team.
Well, GI specifically is the only one that matters because once he can throw his AoE, he can give you a whole turn cycle probably.
I want to say he was the third person to die, but like right around the time
Not
anybody else
die,
would
I
go.
mean get stunned. I don't care.
Oh yeah, they were outright lost. Yeah, there's nothing I could do. But I'm just starting like by the time he could even get around to do anything, I was down to 3 characters. If that helps you, and I will say Riva was around for a while. Yeah, it was, dude. It was crazy how fast. And the only thing I can attribute it to is the fact that I didn't get to play the game.
Yeah, that's not that's not Dash. That's the stun cron. Just to be clear, that's not Dash. That's the stun cron.
Well, also his first move to do Balin, anything he's doing is going to be that AoE lockdown too.
Yeah. No, I'm not arguing that. I'm saying that like what you're saying is you basically lost to like the Merc stun cron, which is gonna happen sometimes.
All right. Well, yeah, because we can see that. I just pulled up some data. I hope you guys can see it on screen. But 3 out of 3 fights seen against a Relic 7 or better team with that composition and Kron, you're looking at like a 61-62 in the best case if it wins.
Yeah. I mean, the stun cron is going to be filthy, especially if they hard target GI.
Mm-hmm. And then if you've got it, Volk, funny enough, and I will say the one thing to help Lap as well, turn meter. That's what I faced with Worminator, and you could definitely feel them because all the specials they're doing, they were gaining a shit ton of turn meters they were wrapping around. And that also, I felt that burden as well. So that may also attribute to what you're talking about, Dagger, right? Because it's like what special, and that Merrick is or Maroc, whatever you call him, is going to go a ton as you're hitting into all the good stuff.
Fair. Anything you got to say on these Fatal? Balin stuff, Fulcrum stuff, Ezra stuff?
Nothing too significant. It's just like it definitely seems like there are players who are like willfully holding Balin on offense now, and they will just place Balin wherever you place Fulcrum. So with that in mind, I'm probably just gonna start placing it in some random place to be like, okay, if you're giving me a taunt for this team, I'm just gonna put it in like the least value place imaginable, and you're just gonna, yeah, congrats, you get your I would button.
What
Fair.
What cron did you use on offense, TJ? Because it turns out the GI cron, they're immune to stun.
I used the GI Cron.
Well, they're immune to stun, so you weren't getting stunned.
I'm the character who died in a minute and 1 second. So if you go look, that's me. If you go look in the stats,
no. I'm not disagreeing.
But that's what I'm saying. So you're talking about it's fine being immune to stun, but when your team don't get to go, I was out in a minute, and that's how it felt.
No, I get it. I was mostly just trying to remember.
I
was thinking maybe you didn't
think
take a GI cron, and that's why you got blown out.
I would like to see what it would have been going third first, because I don't remember if he got to go again, but I do remember like I went to start the fight, and then once they started going, I basically sat there.
Did you lead with third or second?
No, I left him second. So because I was trying to stop everything.
There you go.
But that's what I'm saying. I would be interested to seeing what to do with third, but with the days, I don't know because of the turn meter gain and what they were doing. It felt that fast. So I would be interested to see if you do leave a third to start the fight, to torture, to try to stop something, and then be able to get around again. That might do it.
It's mostly you have to speed up to cycle back around to your next turn.
Yeah, and also I like getting torture onto Balin immediately.
Well, that too. Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate that.
Sorry,
guys.
I just wanted to dissect that fight a little bit.
No, you're good.
No, it's all good. So, look, I put down most of these topics here for meta-analysis. That brought us to the end of it. How about you guys? Anything off the beaten trail we haven't otherwise covered you wanted to ask about before we move on?
I'm here so I don't get fined.
Appreciate you hitting me with the Marshawn.
I really feel like those are the only key things
Beast
when it
mode.
comes. Those are the hard teams, right? Balin feels harder on defense is when it's not the GLs, that's for sure. Balin Kron is gross on defense, that has merit, and that's you're fighting that whole shenanigans, right? Either mothers or wherever else. But everything else feels pretty samey. Doesn't really feel like it's anything that I would even call a meta. So
I had a fair few teams like perform a lot better than I expected, but I don't know that I entirely understand. Well, I maybe do understand. Riva with Merrick only died to Bane and got like a fair few holds. Ray with Calcron got holds all 3 rounds. That I don't. So there's something weird and interesting happening there where I like talked to opponents, and it seems like some of them were running the Starkiller faster than Mara setup that I was talking about. My Ray comp just had like Barris and GK slapped in because I was like, well, every other good unit is going somewhere else, so I'll just pretend that this is a real thing. But it seems like for having Starkiller fastest, like if you're just slamming AoE first turn, then you proc GK crit immunities out before Mara gets to roll out. So it seems like that was causing some disruption, but then I've also seen another player say that they just improvised over to trash can opener and that they were able to beat their opponent just fine. It wasn't against mine. But one recurring theme that kept on being brought up is that the cleanse level 6 made a big difference, and then the heavy defense Cal also made a big difference. Like I think round 3 opponent literally like Cal was last person standing with like 15% health, and like
Wow.
you know, if they had a few more seconds,
Damn. I did mean to
That
look
would've
at
been-
doing that this week. All right, it's on the to-do list.
Yeah. The Cal level 9 is something I've been very bullish on.
Yep, it was doing well in 3s. It's doing well in 5s. The Ufu self cleanse, yeah, seems to do pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know. I was just kind of messing around with.
The Varus GK, like air quotes, I'm putting air quotes, non-bow, is actually really filthy because people just think that it doesn't work, and then it works, and they're like, shit. It's like, if you crit immune, if you shock me, and you crit me, haha. If you don't shock me and crit me, haha.
Fair.
Right.
It's honestly not the final form that I imagined for this team, but this week had different plans for me, so I won't get to try anything until next week. But yeah, I don't know. Like the way that the 65% cleanse tends to recontextualize the fight means that, like, honestly, I don't even think it has to be this shell. I think there's a fair few permutations that you could throw into the team that, I mean, especially if we're talking someone trying to split off Malicos into a separate squad, you get punished pretty heavily for. And also, there are so many fucking degenerates running around with 2 Omicron Star Killers in 2025. What are you doing? Why are you like this? Omicron that fucking man. Like,
Who's the one that they're leaving off? Who are they skimping on? The barrel?
it's always the trash can.
Yeah.
There are so many trash can skip believers, and I am your opponent, and I am here telling you that trash can has saved my life many times. Having locked heal immunity and buff immunity, it turns out is actually like a pretty good thing. And like when Omicrons were brand new, I understand why people were trying to cut corners. But what I'll say instead is There are increasingly more ways that you can build a raid, that you can set up a squad to punish people for not having said Omicron. So
Fair.
Yes, there back in the day when Tash and I remember we talked about this a bunch. Back when Omis were super scarce, I didn't have it, but it had already I know because we used to talk about how triple Omi characters who had to earn their Omis basically.
Fair.
Now we
Yeah,
just slap
that
them
was a
all
long.
on, but
That was indeed a long time ago. But
yes. But what I'm saying is, Fatal's right. Like, if you don't have the barrel throw or the trash can, you just need it. Like, I remember the first fight I lost because I didn't have it, and then I had it for the next week.
I get why it doesn't read as impressive, but the fact that the debuffs are locked so that you get the guaranteed damage immunity synergy, or that like, hey, well that character isn't damage immunity and they're about to heal 50%. Well, I can just toss the trash can and get the heal block without having to worry about, self cleanse. Or even there were metas in the past where the fact that it's a team dispel doesn't seem like a big deal, but actually ends up feeling pretty good. It just, yeah, like, I mean, even we talk all the way back to like original Ray versus Starkiller days, where like if you had that Omicron, you could kill GTR, and if you didn't, then people would frequently time out on her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's there is a long history with that Omicron that like I don't know, man. Let me put it this way: in about 8 or 9 days, if you don't have that Omicron, you're going to hate me. So
nice. Yeah, I can already imagine what that means. I can already see it. That's going to be fun. Okay, all right. Well, appreciate that, guys. On to the next segment. Best attack and defense of the week. So, let me pull up swigger.gg, which is updated now. Attack-wise, I want to say something cool happened. You already know about
won,
the fail.
so that's something cool did happen.
Yeah, I mean that was neat. I already know the attack I want to highlight, but as far as like a failed attack, I already covered this one with the Qui-Gon again. Liked the Keller in there, but it seems like I needed this to be Grandmaster or GK, and that there might have been something more to it. I don't know that I want to keep trying. Yes, Afra Dengar, that was good against Java, so I don't know what I was expecting there, but defense-wise on this one, yeah, nice to see Leia standing up to Bane. That's never going to break my heart. Wow, Seer Malicos Slacker losing to Gas Cracks. Not just losing to Gas Cracks. Get the fuck out of my house from Gas Cracks. Cracks and Fives being the only ones that died. Nice. Okay, but in this second round here, one of these was really cool. So I dropped this attack. I revealed the back wall and saw Lord Vader, Maul, Malicos, Starkiller, and Ninth Sister with the Starkiller crown. And yeah, Leia didn't really pan out, but we did manage to take out Malicos. And then I was like, honestly, I don't know. We'll come back to it in a few attacks. Recognize that I didn't have use for Afra at that time, and this was pretty good. You know, obviously went rough in terms of losing 000. Dengar was pretty important. We got a couple kills strictly because of him, I would say. And that said, if my Dengar Kron didn't have such a bulk orientation for stats, we probably would not have lost 000. So I thought that was a really worthwhile cleanup to highlight. Dagger, how about you? Anything interesting in your travels?
Yeah, actually. What round was that? Round 3. I still don't pay attention to what my opponent set. And I fought Malgus. I did Malgus versus Inquisitors with the GI Cron. And they started in damage immunity. And I found out real quick that the GI level 9 also makes them immune to fear.
Yeah, man. I remember we discussed this at the start of this Datacron set. It's like, guess what I won't be doing for the life of this Cron?
No, but I won, so fuck you.
That's right. You did get your 59.
I did.
And we're all proud of you. And that's what matters.
Hey, that's actually good to note because I fought one with like 120% crit damage, and I took
Oh no, this cron
Simralicos.
sucked. It was like 25%
But that's what I'm
crit
saying.
damage
It's like
from bulk.
I'll tell you, but that's
This
cool.
cron sucked.
It's cool seeing
It's
it work.
okay.
It's good.
Yeah.
But the DI starting was far more problematic than the immunity to fear.
I
Just to be clear.
absolutely bet. That sounds horrible.
I didn't even pay attention. I went to go dunk GI and did literal fucking nothing.
Fantastic. Love it. High skill play.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
then my favorite defense.
Oh, yes, please.
Oh yeah. My favorite defense is which was it the first?
Round 1. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah. The guy with JMK with my non-fulcrum Ahsoka holding up to like full JMK with gas, like JMK with gas.
Wow. Yeah, that is gas in there. Granted, the relics are lacking. I mean, that is a huge disparity, to be honest. But I take your point.
I understand. It's also a dark side crown. I'm mostly pointing out that there was no fulcrum here though.
Yeah. Pretty nice, man. All right.
Yeah.
TJ, what you got for us? Favorite attack?
I am a contributor now, and
That's
you
right.
will
Look
listen
at
to
you.
me when I talk.
It's,
Right.
you know, it's
More
been
than
good.
fine.
It's been a good quarter of a year, but you know, welcome back. Welcome back.
But also true.
All right, TJ, where are we going to?
Honestly, favorite defense is Queen. Queen did the God's work. I think we saw it on stream when he fought mine, and he tried and failed on that one. And then Dom for round 2 also held. So Queen did good work, man. It was holding out with
Oh
strong
wow,
things.
dude, yeah, wow, it held up to Great Mothers. Now, what did you roll with here? You went with bulk. What do you? So, it's really just the bulk, and then you have a lot of potency, some offense, a bit of resistance penetration. What do you think the secret to the success here was? You think it's the hunter and echo?
I think they're fun and I think they're cute. I also faced it. Worminator said it on me, and it's cool. It's cool seeing their interactions because obviously the fast echo has a part of it. Potency is nice because obviously you want to make sure everything sticks, no problems there. That was cool. But I think it's just the dynamics of the team to where you don't get to underestimate it. You don't get to just take shenanigans because you can get caught out. We saw other times too where the mothers, which would be a good counter for it, were also getting stalled on it, right? More than one occasion, I know those are holding well. So that was nice to see. The other one I want to note is Dom. So if you can go up to my Ahsoka, notice I did not say Glat, just for Dagger's reference. That is what I like to see. So we saw Arnold was able to use his setup, his Balin with the same exact team, and actually this one has more offense on his Balin Cron than Arnold's did, and it held. So it's cool to see that just like the Qui-Gon on your mothers, that just because something can be done, and there are specifics in there that you've got your ATF on the team, it can still get caught out. And the one thing you don't want to do is leave this team wanting, because it will let you know that you've screwed up. There are a very limited number of counters that you get to do.
Okay.
Favorite attack is the one with you guys, and it's the one Dagger talked me into doing. And I've got several comments on it. The old school
Where are we going
JKR.
to? What round? What round?
It's round 1 with you guys when we did the stream. It's against SLKR, at least old SLKR.
Yeah.
And we got to do JKR,
right.
JKL with
hurrah.
armor. It was so cool being able to do it, and I actually got so many DMs, and then I also saw in other chats that being able to see the old school work again, even fumbled along, was super awesome, man. That it put the 3 stacks on JKR, go to town, but you're just, by the time you're done, especially because they got the bulk with the offense and that build, it was fun, man. So it was fun getting to relive experiences again and fumble your way to a non-GL against SLKR for now.
Fantastic, man. All right, Fatal, how about you? Where are we headed to?
I could just link my insight. I don't know.
No, I've already got it. I got you on screen, man.
I don't know the fancy screen.
Oh. All right, what am I looking at here?
Sophisticato. That's just my GC history, but with the inside view, so it looks all snazzy. That's showing the holds. I don't know. It was just like a weird splash week of like the one thing that I would shout out actually as like I don't know. I was in a funk last week expecting it to be a cheese fest that I just like did not connect the extremely obvious dots. Hey, yeah, the old Manhattan project for Amidala with Damage Qui-Gon. We're in a set that has light side bulk and also has a heaping helping of crit chance and crit damage in the stats. Yeah, Qui-Gon does like 300,000 damage right now if you mod him correctly.
Nice.
Per basic. It's pretty good. I apparently beat the shit out of a Bane. Amidala got various holds, Ray got various holds. Great Mothers had a Bale and Kron for me last week. They got they held to Amidala. Amidala held to their Great Mothers. It was just like a weird smorgasbord of I don't know. I did not want to be lame, especially because I knew the people that I was fighting against that I didn't want to just roll over last season. So yeah, these are the teams that I came up with. Riva Merrick, I guess, being the noteworthy, like they had to spend a Bane, or like is the only way that's it's been beaten so far. I don't know. I mean, Bale in L3 I think is decent, but my L3 is no longer for sale, so I actually feel really kind of down on what my Balin would have been for this week, which is like Balin, Shin, Canderous, Hondo, plus like Dadbod, which is like those are like the top three like flex, but that team seems way too exposed. It's too much flex and not enough like like Gungans should just roll that shit, I would imagine.
So if not, so you feel that the pre-taunt is so valuable there, or like do you think that Zalbar just necessarily would just never be enough for what you're wanting, what you're feeling you're missing?
I don't know, just trying to add any sort of little extra disruption to cheap shit. Like I had L3 seemingly help contribute to stopping a Gungan assault at one point, where I'd imagine that Gungans would win without L3 being there. Attack wise, I'm struggling to remember my offense a bit.
Say, didn't you get to do Gungans pretty well against the Balin? I thought I watched you do
you
that.
You had a fight against one of my patrons, Quig. Was that anything interesting from this last fight in round 3?
I ran it and then pretty much one shot his entire team, save for like Balin and I think one other person with Boomadire's first turn. And pretty immediately was like, I haven't looked at my Gungan mods ever since they first released, like pre-Gungan Kron era. Mm-hmm. And B, I had looked at it today and it was like, actually my Boomadier, his mods were in a pretty okay shape, so I think that's part of why that turn was so explosive, because that turn I saw people commenting on that shit. I don't know. It's going to get me to min-max my Gungans for the next GAC loadout that I have, just to like, yeah, it was nice to have that fight go so smoothly that like, it seems like it's worthwhile to just
you made it look like that is the counter to go to. I know I was talking to Tax and I watched it.
For all the folks at home, I've seen you do it. I don't know what makes you feel it's reliable, but I've heard horror stories from others attempting to do Gungans versus Balin. What would you say is the key to success with that counter?
To be honest, I don't actually know so much that it's the Gungan side. There's someone that I fought week 1. And I looked at that comp and I was like, oh, this is very clearly Gungan tech. And I ran Gungans anyway because I was like, fuck it, why not? And then
I see that you fought it with Bam in the team here. I've got on screen.
Yeah, it was Bam and Dadbod. And I think I pretty much shut down Bam from getting to threaten birds on the generator. But Dadbod honestly just generated so many turns and hits that he just did the job himself anyway. Mm-hmm. That, like, I feel like the Gungans are just going to do what they're going to do. And it's more so up to the Balin owner to determine what sort of, like ironically, as I would sit here and say that Hondo and Canderous are kind of the best two to run. I don't know that they're actually the best at working on the Gungan problem. So I don't know. Like, as harsh as I was just being on the squad, maybe throwing Dadbot in the mix as a replacement for Merrick wouldn't actually be the worst against Gungans. I have no idea how that fight would flow, but it really does feel like at the end of the day, like, the damage that you have on your Boomadier, did you get him to 100% crit chance? Because he 2024 was the year of crit chance, and Boomadier is one of those units that I think alongside Tarpals as well needed some crit chance help to actually get to reliable, consistent crits. And yeah, really just trying to make sure that like when you get to that turn, you get the progress that you need, because I have been playing Gungans against Balin a fair few times before this. And it is like that fight against Quig that I had was like the rare exception where like the damage was just enough. When it goes to a scramble, I think I've had some fights fail. Or like at least be very uncomfortable that like you don't want to be like praying and counting hits, and like if you say the words I hope this boss Nass basic calls Tarpals, I feel like even if it does call Tarpals and you do get the kill, that feels like a loss in my eyes. So
Fair. Yeah, I see this one didn't have a second tank or anybody to juggle you. This was your round 2 versus Frank Drebin. Okay. All right. Well, this is the part where I would typically have already asked Sasha, so we'll just pivot to our next item. Takeaways and final thoughts, gentlemen. We have survived week 1, but, it was nice to see what set 19 could do Datacron-wise, and that was it. That's our little dash of normalcy, right? Little taste of the new Datacron set, and now we have Darkside Ray. The proper name is Ray Darkside Vision. And yeah.
Sir, that is Dre, and you leave it like that,
right.
and that's what it will stay.
Yeah. Street name is
You will not forget
Dre.
about Dre.
That's right.
Dude, never forget about Dre.
That's right. There are rules to this kind
I
of
was
thing.
told that came out in the 2000s, so it was this century, and I don't have to feel old about it.
Fair.
I thought it was 99. It turns out it's 01. So I am not old. You're old.
Fair. So, before we do the regular talking about our lessons learned, as far as the impact of Dre, I think all of us have to be thinking about setting Slacker on defense. Although I'm sure you've all heard the same scuttlebutt I have, that, from early Grand Arena testing, so obviously with none of her Omicrons active, even though they're using like a set 18 Balinkron, I guess it's getting beaten by most of the GL cast. As far as I'm concerned, that made me want to bulk up my Faust, my Hux, and I did remod Dre to have much more health and defense than originally, at a cost of significant offense, but it seems like her not getting popped, the whole team just like not getting popped is, I don't know, pretty important.
Well, it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing because if you bulk the team out, you can kill people as soon as every one of them takes a turn. Right? So as soon as everyone takes a turn, you can kill people.
I feel like she's just gonna.
And on top of that, the problem is like if you build them for damage, I feel like they're too weak. Again, this is squad arena only. Omicrons haven't come into account yet.
Oh.
I feel like if you're gonna mod this team for offense, like cool, they're gonna be squishy. If you're gonna mod this team to be bulk, then they're not gonna close the fight out fast enough. And a lot of the GLs just have so much like sustain that I don't know how it translates into GAC. I'm sure these fights will all be harder in GAC for sure. But yeah, I was telling Tass, like, I had two in my squad arena, and 6 GLs beat bulk, like the fast health version and the offense version.
Definitely feels like you need to play the Omis, because I know when I faced her or whatever else like that, it doesn't feel like anything outside of GAC. We definitely want to leave it to where it's at. I understand it's beating certain things, and it's doing its work, but the minute you get into GAC, it feels like a Malicos or something, like one of those characters where once the Omis kick in, I think we're in for a different game. That's what I'm taking my hope as, because it looked cool. I saw Arnold when they posted with the Omi
outside of squad arena initially.
I would probably say you're right.
Malicos felt better in squad arena. Initially.
That I would. The only reason I compared it to Malicos, because I heard another person talk about it too, is because when those Omis are on, man, he's dangerous. I'm not discounting what you're saying, But I also agree with you. When you go and fight in an arena, it's like, the fuck is this? Where's my goodness? Where's the great things?
Better.
When you
No, don't get me wrong. He's better,
right.
but he would like you're taking something from like a 6 on defense to like a 7.5.
That fair,
In
and that's
Squad
what
Arena specifically. Here's hoping it's closer to a 9 or even a 10 in GAC.
that's why I want to
But
see what the homies do,
I was-
right?
I
Or
was
they
talking-
transcend it.
I was talking on your server here that if this ends up just being SOK plus Dre 2-man, like I'm going to be extremely disappointed. If the entire point of it is just 2-manning things on offense.
It does
It's
have
one
me
of the
thinking
reasons, one of the
about.
reasons Bane disappoints me is because like. Anyway, sorry.
No, I was just going to say that it has me thinking about putting Relic 9 on my Hux, too.
How do you not?
I don't want to talk about it. Shut up.
We can't be friends. He's a capital. He is a ship.
He's a ship I don't really use anymore. And neither do you. I will not be
Let me
shamed.
ask.
Play R9 to my Hux back when I used the ship.
So what about Fatal? What are your thoughts on her? What do you think?
The only reason why I cared about this character was for words that existed in Omicrons, and so she's performing about where I expected that she would, because her base kit isn't all that earth-shattering. People are like, oh my god, she's got a Rayolt, and I'm like, yeah, it's a weaker Rayolt. Have you used Rayolt recently? I know we all posted her on defense, but you see her do it sometimes, and it does about 2/3 of a protection bar, so maybe you could imagine her to do like a half of a protection bar. I don't know. Like, so snarky aside, yes, I imagine that she is going to be defensively relevant. I imagine that you will have to remod your first order to maximize clauses such as your team gains 10% health and protection whenever you get debuffed. You might even say you want to remod the entire team for bulk. You might also even say that you want to give the team a Balin crown. And then you would just compound all of those effects to try to just be a sheer pain in the ass.
Just love the Balin crown where it's at, but I agreed.
Balin crown means different things to different people because, like, you know, we're all born differently, I guess. So we can't control how we're born, and some people are born to be really heavy on offense, and some people are born to be born with bulk.
Right.
In this case, I actually might be glad that I'm born with bulk, or at least for my sensibilities. But
how much bulk we talking, Beto? Because I've got I'm a balding fat man style of Datacron with absolutely zero added offense.
I had someone tell me that they had 200% health on their Datacron today, and I wanted to kill them and or myself. No, I just have like 60% protection, 50% health. So.
Oh, I'm 125 and 125. I think I'm pretty evenly matched on
no
that.
One
but
fucking loves you.
Well, no, because I got no offense, so I agree. CG don't love me because I don't even have a speck of offense.
I'm telling you right now, I think for how I imagine this can flow, I think you're going to be happier with the bulk. Yeah, I think that this is a kit that is trying to create knockdown, drag out fights. And, like, don't get me wrong. I know that heavy offense is incredibly stupid, and I'm sure that will be true here as well. But, I don't know. The bulk is an ongoing experiment so far. I would, like... opponents have unsolicited said, yeah, that bulk really seemed to make a difference. That's not, like, me saying a glowing review of, like, oh my god, bulk is amazing. But you give me this character who is repeatedly trying to bulk up her team, and you give me 2 weeks of this Datacron that just gives it an inordinate amount of bulk on top of having the level 3 bulk, is like, yeah, I don't know, that seems like something. That seems like a thing that you should try to, like, go full committal modding on, try to double down behind, let the Omicrons rock, let the Taunt Ignore do its thing, and see where it goes. But also, to your mention, I did R9 Hux and Sith Trooper leading up to this week.
Fair.
Sure doesn't matter now, but it will matter for next week, I imagine.
Right. Round 3, you're screwed.
That's tough, man. That is tough, man.
I posted my Balin Kron, so like I am one of the blessed.
You're like the guy driving around in the big vehicle just so he can show off because he's got the small PP. You knock it off. Stop showing off your PP.
Look, I have to show it off somehow. How does that say? Like, I'm taking Japan?
Stop showing
I'm
off
choosing
your
Japan.
stop
Absolutely.
showing off your willy. All right, man. This is a world of people being offended, and I'm offended by it. That's triggered me.
Look at this man out here helicoptering in public with this.
Right? He's got one.
I will now show you the new version of meatspin.com.
Yeah,
That's
it's
right.
basically that. Yeah, that's a nasty set of stats, and I don't have to appreciate you for that. All right, well, thank you guys for that indulgence and detour. Back on topic, wrapping up this week and our lessons learned. I'd say, for my part, things went more or less to plan. I was really thinking about the teams I was most likely to see. I knew I was going to see a lot of great mothers. Queen Amidala. I expected Balin. I expected Leia. And for any of your things that worked right, think about it. Hopefully you tried a couple different solutions for fighting other teams. Use that to think about what you can set this week. And then just stay agile for Slacker. I don't know what you guys are planning on holding. I would say, right off the top of my head, JMK seems like a safe thing to do. But that's going to be about it for me. Dagger, you? Lessons learned? Thoughts for the people?
Insert beast mode. But no, I think Lord Vader comes off defense for me finally, because I think that's going to be like my go-to. Versus the
Really?
people who are just going to jam their SOK on defense.
Okay.
Mostly because I think he is the least effective defense that I have down. Because they're just going to bow it. Like, I mean, granted, I'm in a position where people aren't really beating my teams, but I'm just saying, like, in a vacuum, it is the team that I place that has the cheapest answer and one of the most consistent answers. So I think I'm picking that team up first.
You can still mess with
James
Bo if you run Malicos.
Oh, sorry, what's up?
You can still mess with Bo if you run Malicos. I got a hold to it this week. It's not consistent mess with, but you can at least put the Fear of God on them or something.
Yeah, I'm mostly just thinking, like, what teams do I have on defense that my opponents get to punch up into, right? Like, it's... Lord Vader's one of the consistent ones because he's been disappointing me lately. Like, just in TW, GAC, he's just been kind of... It's not that he's bad. It's just, I feel like he needs another piece soon. And it doesn't have to be something amazing. It just has to be something solid.
Okay.
And now with us getting, like, Bad Batch and then more Jedi, like... Man, JML's got to catch one of these strays, right? JML has to not suck at some point.
I was planning on doing JML against SLK this week, and had full everybody to do so.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, like, when I see Lord Vader, it's like Bo or JML, and it just feels super cheap to do either one of those at this point.
Okay.
So I think I'm going to pull Lord Vader. Outside of that, it's... Kyber 2, you get your yucks, but it's still, like... We have too much offense. Like, my takeaway from this week is that I thought it was going to get harder as I fought people with all the GLs and all the toys and Datacrons, and then it's like it doesn't matter because I just have 5 GLs for offense, and these other 35 teams that are good. Obviously, that's hyperbolic, but it's like I don't know. Back to the. I never thought I'd say this, but. I might actually be looking forward to 3v3 depending on how next week goes.
Gasp. You've heard it here first.
And to be clear, I'm not looking forward to 3v3 because I like 3v3.
Nope.
I'm looking forward to converted. 3v3 because I hate 5v5 more.
He's a believer. One of us.
No, I just want to be clear. I don't love 3v3. I just hate 5v5 more.
All right. Well, thank you. Welcome. I'm glad you decided to join the winning side, Dagger, and I see that you're all smiles and walking
what were those,
with a.
What were those things we used to carry around in our pocket? They used to play like music in the 90s.
Boom boxes.
No. You couldn't put those in your pocket. It was like a.
You talking about iPods?
No, it was like a circle. And you have to go to the store and buy things to put into your little circle. What were those called?
Oh, a CD player?
Yeah, CDs.
With these, with these when you go to Wendy's. Roger.
Technique.
Roger, sir. Roger.
Technique is key in all things, and that's important. I appreciate you for that, Dagger. All right, well, TJ, how about you? Your lessons learned, your word of advice for the people.
I think it was a good week to experience a lot of things, right? Getting some of the nostalgia. The will they, won't they of SLKR on defense is going to be a good one. But also, are they going to two-man? Because it does look like he'll be doing a two-mans or three-mans with SLKR. So there's some shenanigans to be had there. But it's, I guess if you can pull your opponents out of their comfort zone, will have a lot of merit. Or just be fatal and literally set the house on defense. You can do that, and then that also works very well. But other than that, I took the risk of trying different things to see where I want to go. And I think the call of LVs and the JMKs feel like the expendable ones, which is funny. But it does hold a place that you can do that. And Jabba just feels so solved on defense anymore. It's just basically, I'm going to go after it and you're done, right? You don't have to worry about the Night Sisters. It's just, I'll after and be done. Move on with your life. So he can do things as well. So you can find a place for a Jabba to go on a random spot. But that's where it's at for this week. I'm interested to see what it's going to look like post this week with SLKR, etc.
Okay. All right. Well, Fatal, now we turn to you. Your lessons learned, your plans for this week, your advice for the folks at home.
Yeah, I went into the season pretty much ready and willing to doom and write the season off, and actually came out like fairly optimistic that I think there's some weird shit rumbling. Like, especially if we're talking like we may be approaching a point where fielding 11 super teams. Well, not 11 super teams, but just trying to raise the line significantly of what's a relevant team that can attack your defense. I think that might be in the wind. That like if your opponent does anything other than cheese, that might be pretty interesting. The one thing I will say is if everything went to plan, I was walking into this week not necessarily with a plan to clear for how much I was posting on defense. So I don't think that necessarily means that it's a good idea. Or at least it would have been very risky, and I think it would have been very spicy, which is partly why I was so heartbroken. But at least, like, if that's the dynamic that's going on, I think it says something interesting about where we're at and where we're headed in terms of upcoming content releases, pushing that needle one way or the other. So we're kind of in this weird, like, right, like we're getting Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch don't lead up to anything. So, like, if CG intends this to be like a defense super team or something, or whatever their idea or intent is, or maybe they'll be the SLK Dark Ray counter or whatever. There's a whole lot of questions I have for where we're at and where we're going, and yeah, I think if you're trying to be effective on defense right now, I think it really, really comes down to elbow grease in the mods. Get really fucking subversive. Farm a bunch of bulk mods. I hate to say it, but it does seem to be panning out so far and causing extra disruption. But for all I know, maybe it's just going to be like shock value in the short term, and then people learn it and get used to it. But yeah, for the time being, like my defense got like a 50 or 60% hold rate this week, so that's not nothing for what I expected to be clear one shots.
I will have to agree with you that just in my own remods for this week, I feel punished, and deservedly so, because I have been on a slicing spree and neglecting my defense-offense speed farm, which really should just be perpetual. I really don't have an excuse.
Dude, I've been farming defense sets for like a month and a half at this point, and it feels like I've gone nowhere. Like this is legitimately, if I'm serious about this and I stick with this, this is going to be like a 2-year odyssey. I shit you not.
Wow. All right.
It's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, hey, appreciate that. And as the only other content creator here on the show, where can the good folks find you?
Twitch.tv/PlaybookTV. I was planning for this week to be fucking huge and weird and a lot of fun. I guess that's now way late to next week, and I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing this week. But I will get through it one way or another, probably with some losses along the way.
Fantastic.
I mean, I've been 15-1 up until this point, and the one was technically a throw on my end, so it was a good run.
Fair. I'm sure you can scheme around it. We'll see what you can pull off. But yeah, no, we had some folks in the YouTube comments this week where can I find Fatal? And I gave them the link, so let's hopefully we can all see what you do this week. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for showing up. It was a crazy week, and I know we're not talking about it in this episode, but it is cool that we just got the new Jocasta new kit announced, so that'll be fun to read about here. The new Jedi Vanguard faction coming to the game. Just like how we handled Darkside Rey, aka Dre, we're going to go ahead and wait to review that kit until she's just about to be released. So on that third conquest just about to come out, we'll stick to that script so that the information stays fresh and top of your heads. Anyways, if you're used to seeing me stream live, then you already know that you can find me at twitch.tv/Tassenix. Of course, if you miss the stream, you can always catch my VODs uploaded with chapters added for easy browsing to my YouTube, Tassenix Gaming. That is a rebroadcasting point for this very podcast, but also you can find some other great Swugger-related content there that I think you'd be interested in. We've got the GAC Omicron tier list, mod guides for characters and factions you've been interested in, Datacron set guides that are slightly out of date, but I'm about to fix that here in the very near future. And, other fun things like plotting and scheming extras covering character kits, stuff like that. But anyway, check it out. And of course, if you like what you're seeing here, first of all, you can do me a huge solid and just hit like and subscribe on anything you enjoy. Really, that would be the most. That would be awesome. However, if you've just got a few extra dollars that are burning a hole in your pocket, Task, what can you do to help me put out those burning dollars? I have a couple options for that. Yeah, we do have the Cash App that you guys asked me to set up. That is $Tassenix. I have dusted off PayPal, tassenix@gmail.com. And of course, if you want to get something back and raise your scouting game, get early access to some of my content, and be able to hang out with yours truly pretty regularly, you'll have to check out my Patreon. Check out patreon.com/Tassenix. For any upwardly mobile Grand Arena player, there is something there of interest to you. At $5 a month, you enter the Tass House at VIP access level, where you get early access to the Plotting and Scheming podcast. This is usually coming out on Friday mornings, but my patrons are getting it as early as Tuesday night, depending on how cooperative YouTube is being. But in addition, you also get early access to the Datacron set guides, and of course, that dedicated text and voice chat on Discord where you can usually find me lurking. Pop on in and say hi. Thank you so much to Andrew, Arj, Deadpool Cal 28, JJ's Productions Twitch, Jobin 4527, Johnny B. Ottawa, Miasmal, Mus Ross, Ray's Malbus, Sam Vimes, Sheepdog 47, Squed, Stark Strategy Gamer, Sweens 14, and White Wolf. Way too many names in a row that start with an S, but I got through it. Moving on up to the $10 a month tier is VIP Access Plus, where you get a bundled Patreon access to me and to OmegaBot. Anybody can use OmegaBot to get an at-a-glance sense of what their opponents are about, but you can pull just 1 week of history for free. Patrons to OmegaBot can pull any number of weeks. You get a downloadable HTML report with links that you can click to go right back into Insight, get the details on the specific fights you're interested in, save a bunch of time on your scout. Thank you so much to Stryker, Esh Sotnikam, and Dobby. And VIP Access Premium is $15 a month for the Double Bot bundle, so Patreon access to me, to OmegaBot, and to Hot Utils, the #1 tool for your mass mod management and loadout creation. You can use it to, just with a couple clicks, switch between TW, TB, Grand Arena, Raid mods. You can do what Fatal was almost successful to do today, but there were technical issues, I guess, on the back end from time to time that stop you from remodding your whole roster in a matter of minutes for Grand Arena or whatever it is you're trying to do. You can use it to easily slice through that backlog of mods, that you've been sitting on top of and not getting to. Shame on you, by the way, for that. But in any event, thank you so much to Duckstab, Darkhug, Ivanek, General Milan, Sir Boss, Quig, Wilco, Frick Frack Paddywhack, Argots, and Zoltray. And of course, at the top of the heap, the #1, supporter, Nomad's Reaper in Jester's Club Elite. This man pops in a stream from time to time and goes crazy, gives out hundreds of subs, thousands of biddies, incredibly generous support over the years. Thank you so much, my man. And of course, last but never least, our special thanks. First to Yoda Force, one of my original supporters back in the day, bought me this mic that I'm speaking to you on right now, and even though he's long since quit the game, we wish him well from the other side. To Mrs. T, my wife, thank you for all of your efforts in the background, containing the curious and destructive nature of our daughter while I am trying to be halfway decent at a phone game. And of course, to my co-hosts here on Plotting and Scheming, Dagger, TJ, Sasha Aisha, the absent, and Fatal. Gentlemen, it is a pleasure and a privilege to record our show together every week. I'm learning from you guys literally every time we get together. Hopefully, we all occasionally pick things up from each other. Of course, our viewers pick up a lot from us, and the comments and the interactions, on Discord, YouTube, all that bear out. So thank you guys so much for being part of this winning recipe week by week. We're almost 2 years into this. It's insane. All right, that about wraps us up. And yeah, we return here to the main scene to say good luck with your preparations for week 2. None of us really know how strong Dre is going to be on defense, but Lord knows there's going to be a wealth of data to inspect for week 3. Thanks again for tuning in, and until next time, it's been real, it's been awesome, it's been real awesome. Take care.